Ladies and gentlemen, let us begin the highlight event of the program, our panel discussion. I request Dr. P. Chandramoulishwaran, sir, to initiate the discussion.
Good morning, everyone. Namaste to all. So, though you have told about the methodology and other thing, still I would like to go through it again because that time I think people are outside and they are not concentrating. So, the moderator will start the discussion by presenting the current position, focus, transition, and future research in Ayurveda. Every panel member introduce themselves with a statement and position in research. The moderator will present each subtopic to the panel, narrating the scope and background of each topic. Each panelist will have 3-4 minutes to share their views on each subtopic. After all panelists have shared their perspectives, the moderator will summarize and conclude the discussion on the subtopic before moving on to the next. Once all the subtopics have been addressed, the moderator shall briefly give a short review of the discussion to which the panelist may also contribute. The session will be open for audience discussion also. The audience can submit their queries in writing to the organizers. The moderator or panelist may choose to respond briefly to provide a response later. Okay, so this is thing. So I am privileged and honored to be a moderator in front of my teachers. That's when I saw the names, even Dasar was absent today. It was kind of, I was thinking like what to moderate, it's like to the gurus. So I will think basically, though they gave me this responsibility, still I will also be like a panelist only, okay, with due respect to my teachers. So this is a very great topic, and this is the need of the hour also. Basically, why? Because everywhere, nowadays everything is evidence. Okay, so in Ayurveda also, even when I was studying, right, there are lots of questions comes into your mind. So doctor mentioned about my book on Snehana. So in that I tried like why it is 7 days, why it is only 3 doshas. There are in Ayurveda, if you search, there are lots of why, unanswered questions comes. Of course, we believe in Aptopadesha, right? That's the first pramana told, right? Pratyaksha Anumana, then Aptopadesha told, but of course, with due respect to Aptas, still today in this world, if you want to validate certain things, you have to look beyond Apta. Here, because in Ayurveda, you have an answer for everything. That is the beauty of Ayurveda. It can be both contradictory also. Though they said about Apta, then Charkacharya clearly says about Shastram Jyotish Prakashartham Darshanam Buddhiratmanah. So it is one's own buddhi, okay, which leads to the correct path. Okay, so acharyas or aptas are like lights. Okay, they can only show you the path. You have to walk through the path. So basically, if you want to validate the science of Ayurveda or the medicine, it is necessary to present the science to the common public so that they can accept, in the simplest way, in the scientific way. So people think that immediately when it comes to validating Ayurveda, okay, we have to conduct research on, this drug, this drug, okay. So it is its adversary effect or its pharmacodynamics or its pharmacology, all those kind of things. But what I strongly believe is, when you see the, if the research is only focused on pharmacological evidence, only the, pharmacological evidence, then I strongly believe that I don't think so we will ever succeed, because you see, we don't have many of the times our prescription contains polyherbular formulations. Okay, it is not single drugs. When you have a single entity, then you can say about pharmacodynamics, pharmacokinetics, and how it is released, how it is acting, how the receptors, everything you can tell. But when it comes to the polyherbal formulation, and making them are like providing the proper research protocol with the help of modern tools, which is impossible. That's what I always felt, because we are not using a single drug. And basically you might be knowing that people have extracted some of the phytochemicals, about this Ravalfena serpentina. Some examples are there, even out of gugulu, out of some other herbs also, but the side effects they started giving. So that is when you give it as in a kashaya form or kashaya tablet form or capsule form or grita form, that nullifies the side effect of that. So basically Ayurvedic research should not it should not only concentrate on drug research. It should start with fundamental research also. And I believe only this randomized clinical trials alone will not help, because most of the time, though we do OPD practice, but most of the time if you see the cases, those which are coming to us are chronic cases, okay, and where we do the therapies also. So the validation must be for the therapies also, not only for the internal medicines. So the validation, scientific validation should include, the research should focus on the therapies along with the internal medicines, which is very, very, very important, rather than saying that, okay, you are giving the Dashmola Kashayam, which is good for, because if you see, n number of diseases it takes care of. Okay, so sometimes it can be Viruddha also. Imagine, it is good for Vata and Kapha. Both are opposite in nature. But if you are trying to focus only on one herb or one chemical, one phytoconstituents of that herb, that may not yield the result. So the Ayurvedic research, according to me, should focus on the therapies, and not only the placebo trials, not only the randomized trials, but also it should include the therapeutics as well as the herbs and Rashastra, all those things. So we should always develop a protocol. We are trying to fill our legs into somebody's shoes. Trust me, it is impossible to fill our legs into somebody's shoes. And the scientific community, the so-called scientific community, is forcing us to do that. So the government or the research entities should focus, should develop our own tool, our own research mechanism. Okay, we do have pramanas, we do have various methodologies. Along with that, in the about this reverse pharmacology. So where the drug is already there, you try to prove it with the reverse pharmacology. That's what in most of the Ayurvedic research is happening through. We are trying to prove those drugs in the reverse pharmacology method. Okay, so we should focus more on that reverse pharmacology method, and along with taking the therapies also. Then we must develop a separate protocol, and we must develop the yardsticks, and we should try to prove our science through that, rather than proving through placebo trials or single blinded studies. Now recently that good thing started happening. AVP is conducting research in rheumatoid arthritis, where one group is methotrexate, other group is they are using this Rasnayarandadi and other things. So it is a reverse pharmacology method. So which drug is which is better? So it should be like that, rather than focusing on Aranda or rather than focusing on single herbs. So we have to develop at the end of the day our own thing. Then we have to present this. Then only I believe the Ayurvedic concepts, even the concepts, can be proved to the scientific community. And we should never look into fill somebody's shoes. which will never happen. Okay. So with this small knowledge, I would like to present the topics to the panelists so they can start the discussions. If you want to globalize, of course we need a research, and we need to convince people here, not only scientific community, convince the population also. See, I have something which works. Okay, which works. That we have to take it to the, in what way you take to the community, it is up to us, up to the government, okay, from the grassroots level. But we have to take it to them so that they believe. As sir told, they see us as a secondary citizens, but we are not, basically, but we are trying to come out of it. So it is our duty, or the government duty. Now the present government is taking very good steps by posting allopathic doctors. Now they are understanding, and we are also going to the schools and other things. So in the grassroots level. So basically it's not a white elephant. We need to have more funding, because unfortunately though we got independence 75, 78 years ago, only in 1995 they separate Ayush wing, they started in the central government. Okay, so we are in a very nascent stage, only 30 years. Okay, so government support is very much important, and government should give more money so that we can conduct more research. So absolutely it's not a white elephant. If we want to globalize Ayurveda, then definitely more and more research on fundamentals, drugs, okay, should happen. Then only we can globalize it. Okay, thank you. So to Sudhir sir and other panelists, this is the question. Is research in Ayurveda progressing in the right direction? And before that, is it a white elephant also?
Yes. First of all, let me thank you from the bottom of my heart for having invited me to present my views, especially to influence the intellectual plane of Ayurvedic community. It may look little strange if I say that the research is a white elephant, but in reality, that is my opinion. I will explain. If you put the research into three planes, one is a literary research which is going on. Second is a pharmacological pharmacognosy research. Third is a clinical research. What is your basic criteria to do a research? In any subject throughout the world, basic criteria to do research is at least post-graduation or PhD. In Ayurveda, what is your basic research to do a pharmacological research? +2 chemistry. With that, we are trying to do a research and create a result. How far you can expect a positive result in that plane? This is not my opinion alone. This opinion was aired by the Health Secretary in 2000, Health Secretary to Government of India in 2000. He said that our CCRS, Central Research Organization, was formulated in 1950, and 50 years we have been doing research, different areas. Not a single worth mentioning project was properly conducted to create a result. So he asked at that time, should we look back into the methodology of research? I also have that opinion. Even right from 95 onwards, I've been telling in many forums, if you are going to do a research, what do you mean by a research? You are trying to find out something, research, something new you are trying to find out. As a part of the literary research, I think most of the Ayurvedic text, Ashtangardayam, Sangram, everything has been translated into different languages, especially in VHS, CCRS Center. That's a good thing. Second, drug research is happening in Anna Nagar, CCRS Center. What is that you are doing? For example, I tell you, a drug, as per the Chemistry Institute in Hyderabad, any single drug has got 25 to 30 alkaloids. Okay. So each alkaloid, its interaction with the rest of the 24, you need to study. In that mode, it will be very difficult to finish one drug in lifetime. The Chemistry Institute head, Dr. Vijay Kumar, was invited to our college, and he gave a lecture also to that effect. So to study a single drug itself, it takes lifetime. What allopathy people are doing is that some of the chemical reactions you are studying, pharmacological reaction studying of one or two alkaloids, if that is acting, they consider it as effective in one disease. If it produces a difficult reaction later, that will be withdrawn. That they think they can consider later. At that time, they are not talking about 25, 30 alkaloids, only one or two. Because I have been closely associated with a scientist in Pfizer company, who worked there as drug discovery assistant for 13 years. And she resigned there and studied Ayurveda and came here. I was closely interacting with her. They said, if one chemical is acting and rest 29 is against it, they don't consider. This one is taken and that is declared as a medicine for the next thing. So after 4-5 years, definitely there will be side effect, that will be withdrawn. One more thing I would like to say, see, the entire scientific community is establishing the medicines in allopathy and pharmacology everywhere through biochemistry, pharmacology studies, and 80% of such scientifically proven medicines are withdrawn from the market, even in allopathy. So what is the problem with that method of research? I don't say the research, methodology of research, some problem is there. So it is incomplete. That's why later you have to withdraw the many medicines. Metformin is used for diabetes. Many educated countries it is withdrawn. Now antacids are given severe warning that kidney will be compromised. So what is the problem with that? When that medicine is discovered, some problem with the research methodology is incomplete, I say, inconsistent. That's why the result is not complete. Second is the drug research, pharmacology research. Third is the clinical research. I would like to add to the moderator's talk that, in 80s, 90s, research in the modern Western method was evidence-based research. Okay, you need to find out evidence, as he told. But 2000 onwards, the entire research, even physics, chemistry, medicine, everywhere, it is result-based evidence. Because the higher physics has found out that, leave alone Ayurveda, higher physics has found out that throughout the world there are many theorems which are working, but that cannot be proved in the existing theorems of physics. For example, the dosha theory. There are theories which are working, but existing chemistry or pharmacology cannot prove it. That is what physics has found out. It doesn't mean that this theory is wrong. It is giving result. So from the result, you have to invalidate how it is working. So the mode of research in entire Western science is changing. It is gradually coming to medical field also. It takes more time to come to the medical field because medical field research is contributed by physicists, chemists, biochemists. Many other people are putting together their brain to create a positive result. In Ayurveda, that has not happened. Only Ayurvedic people are coming. The fourth point I would like to make is that the stakeholders in research mechanism to revive the Ayurvedic thing should be confined to Ayurvedic people. In our field, it's not like that. It may be surprising to see that. Recently, I attended a meeting in AI in Ayurveda, which was contributed by scientists from London, US, and then allopathic doctors, they are coming in the picture who are interested in Ayurveda. Third is the IIT Kharagpur, IIT Mumbai people coming to help Ayurveda. There's no Ayurvedic people. Department of Science and Technology is giving crores of rupees to IITs to do the Ayurvedic research on Gomutra or some plants. Ayurvedic people are not given that kind of a support. So I think the private people, even in see the defense and all nowadays, we see that government of India is telling that private people have to be involved to create a positive result. So in research in Ayurveda also, if at all it has to be properly oriented to create a positive result, definitely there must be an upper hand for the private stakeholders. Government of India research is, I think, is a standstill, or I know many PG students are there. How many of them will be referring to some other thesis submitted by the seniors? Very rare, because once you go out of this room, you forget everything. Because you should have an intellectual take-home message from here. That's not happening in our field. So the research is not Ayurvedic. We are just copying down the modern system. So our theories are not validated through the pharmacology and all. Our theories can be validated in a different methodology. One more example I can tell you. See the research mentioned by Dr. Madhu in 78 to 90 on rheumatoid arthritis. That was a first interdisciplinary research in Ayurveda. Allopathy people agreeing to come to Ayurveda to have a research mode. That time everybody in the world thought that we have some safe medicines, herbal medicines, which can do wonders. So they permitted only Gulgulu and Rasna to test the efficacy on arthritis. In fact, it was wrong, or it was not up to the expectation. We know that Gulgulu or Rasna in the hands of a good physician can create result, but not in this mode of research. Everybody is given Gulgulu powder and Rasna powder in the morning, arthritis will not go. Everybody knows. But that was the first interdisciplinary research. Allopathy people, not government of India, Western influencers came into research mode and discussed with us. That was a great thing. Same research was repeated in Coimbatore in 95 on arthritis. We were already telling that they will come back to us asking for what is the theory behind it. So 95, when the NIH New York came to the picture to do its research, instead of these two medicines, 150 medicines were permitted. NIH New York is a very big allopathic firm. So they are ready to do the research, still going on, but 150 Ayurvedic medicines were introduced, permitted to do research. Now we know that the black box theory is there in research, as agreed by the government of India, Ayush, in which COVID, we had done a research in Stanley Medical College. 20 medicines are permitted for a particular disease. It's not one disease showing its impact. That is absurd, because the normalcy of the body is understood in terms of allopathy, anatomy, physiology. Disease is understood in terms of anatomy, physiology, that is a pathology. Medicine only you are looking from Ayurvedic angle. So that will not be matching. You must have understanding of Ayurvedic anatomy, understanding of body. Then only you believe in diseases explained in Ayurveda. Then only you can think of what will be the program to contain the atmosphere. So as long as this much knowledge is, background knowledge is not created, even a research, whether it's clinical, pharmacological, pharmacognostic, or literary, will be difficult to take forward. That's my opinion.
Good morning. Question whether it is a white elephant or what, I'll answer at the last actually. Before it, I just want to ask or clarify some things which I have learned. Because research is searching something. So already search has been done. So many of the research work which is being carried out is only a search. That is what I want to say. Because we have to search something, find something, and refine it or retune it actually according to our needs. That is what I mean, the researchers. Many of the things are not coming under this purview of research actually. For example, if you take actually Charaka Samhita, how many yogas have come out in the public now? Only very few, hardly 10%. Then what research we are going to do on that actually? First, those medicines will come out, should come out, and if you are comparing the efficacy or a clinical study or something, that yogas should be in the market or it should come out actually. It is still there in the textbook. And that is one point. Second is, Vagbada has mentioned, idagama siddhatvad pratyaksha paladarsanad mantravat samprayoktavyam nam imamsim katanjana. So you have to use actually, this is for the students I am talking about. See, it is, you have to use it as a mantram. So you have to define then what is mantram. Mananatrayade idi mantra. So nowadays education has gone berserk like extra Ayurvedic education. Nobody is studying the slogas. So what mantra you are going to chant? So you have to learn that, chant it, automatically it throws the window how to use it. This is what my understanding is. But if you ask me research, yeah, it should be to certain extent. Because I'll tell you, as sir rightly told, the tools and the methodologies are the problem. Once we want to put, as Mauli rightly said, like we jump into modern shoes and we explain the things. I always tell in the class, like if a doctor from Ayurveda goes to Ramchandra Medical College, he speaks modern. He speaks sciatica, facial palsy. Okay, the answer is actually, modern doctor doesn't know our language. And the same modern doctor comes to our college, he speaks his language, the same facial palsy, sciatica, etc., stroke. So how we are going to see, we should either tell them like there is a word called, that is the reason why they are not getting convinced actually. See, these people doesn't have a modern, or at least, or I mean, a diagnosis kuda Ayurveda liye. So they will ask, some people used to ask me actually, what is this? This is Ayurvedic diagnosis. It's called Gridrasi or Pakshagadam, etc. So there's a Ajarya word actually. Then they are getting convinced like, oh, they have some language. We lack it. The new Ayurveda people have, actually the new generation have an identity crisis. That is what I want to tell you. Because we are studying Ayurveda in a modern perception. So modern perception is actually everything is Pratyaksha based. There is no place for Aptopdesham or Anumanam. For example, I'll tell you, see a patient comes to us. He talks, doctor, I have pain in the joints. Or see, then we think about actually Vriddhastu Gurute Anila, Karshim, Karshnyam, Mushnagamittum, Kambam. So there is a Vada Vriddhi. That is Anumanam actually. You, with that Lakshana, you conclude there is a Vada Vriddhi. Then it is very simple. You can balance the equation. Vada Syovakarmaha Sneha Sveda Samshodhanam Mradu. It is there. But we are not making them to think in that way. It becomes, okay, joint pain, swelling. We start analyzing in that way. So it should not be. We should have a language. That is what I'm saying. In that language, we should understand the concepts. There are so many examples. Actually, I'll explain brief it and later. So once we understand the concept, we have to select what tool has to be taken for proving it. For example, clinical research actually. See, what is a tool for Prabhavam, Mandram, Sattva and Devasraya Chikitsa? And how many of you are sitting here ready to say that those things are bogus? Definitely not. Even surgeon, allopathy surgeon will not do a surgery in Rahu Galam, 4:30 to 6. If they send a rocket, actually first they will put, a rocket. And they say like actually nothing, these things are bogus. So what we are doing is, by the name of research, we want to convince others like, see what we should do is, this is our language, okay, this is the thing. For example, I have told my patient actually, he came with a, total bilirubin 4. Unfortunately, I told you have jaundice. This patient taught me. Then he asked me actually, is this a way in Ayurveda? No sir, this is Kamala. And this is where you are checking the blood? No, you have to check the urine. Okay, then he's saying, then you tell me Kamala. I told him, if I say Kamala, you will not understand. Then he told me like, if you say, start using the words, actually we will understand. So we lack a language first actually. That is the biggest problem. And modern people, they think like actually, okay, he's talking modern. Okay, so they are studying modern only. We don't have slogas or, any diseases right from Kasam or Jaram to Vadashonidam. So this is a tool. For example, I will give you one more example. In Indian Institute of Science, work has been done by one of my senior. The work was actually corneal penetration of trifluoridum in albino rats. Okay, and that time actually almost 20 years back, I don't want to mention the doctor, he's in Kerala. So he almost spent 1.5 lakhs in those days for that work, and finally it came out negative. There is no corneal penetration of trifluoridum in albino rats. So he came out like actually, then immediately we were the juniors, then we told like, then we will take Padoladikridam, Jivandhyadikridam, and we will prove like there is no, corneal penetration for Tarpanagridas, and we can prove like Tarpana is useless. But fortunately, the guide actually who came, he thrashed him and told like actually, okay, let it be, there is no corneal penetration. Forget about it. But you should substantiate, being an Ayurveda doctor, how it works. 2 days back, there was a video by an allopathic doctor who said like Tarpanam, he's using the word allopathic doctor, Netra Tarpanam, which is a bogus, and it creates, infection in the eye. And they are masking certain things, like actually he said like the cornea cannot breathe directly oxygen from the air, and tears will not be secreted. So this is and that ghee will make the things hostile, and the eye will end up in infection. But the major thing is actually he never mentioned like actually there is a corneoscleral junction, or the limbal margin, what we say, which is really rich in vascularity. So if you do a Tarpanam, actually we should say like the medicine might have been entering into the system through the limbal margin. He never substantiated. So if a younger generation doctor who reads that thesis thinks like actually, okay, there is no action for topical application like Anjanam, Sekam, Tarpanam, etc. So what I'm saying is actually that was I think a liquid column chromatography study or something like actually, such a costly study, and it came out negative. The tool was wrong. That is what. You are taking a tool and you want to prove like actually this is working or what. For example, I'll tell you, Charagan, Susrata Acharya has mentioned actually if you apply Hastidantamashi on the palm, hair will grow. Anybody is going to do a research on it, you know pretty well it is not going to work. But bringing a tool and analyzing it actually, see, so whenever what I say is, without a concept and without selecting a right tool, we cannot actually achieve our desired result, or research cannot proceed. All will end up in a negative research, and the youngsters will get perplexed like actually there is no proper Ayurvedic medicines actually. And one more thing I just want to add, especially to the students, like actually all these things are pratyaksham, what we are talking about. Okay, have you heard of, Vishavaidyas? They are not seeing the patient. Through Dudadi Vijnaniyam, how the Dudan comes and what is the word he is uttering, from which direction he has come. The Vaidya nurse giving a prognosis of that patient is dying, actually kindly take me within 1 muhurtam. Such a wonderful thing actually. See, anybody can do that. That is the greatness of Ayurveda. See, Vishavaidyas, still I think actually they have the tool actually. See, without seeing the patient. Here we are doing, what we are doing is actually we are throwing the light, okay, touching the cornea, you are keeping the mirror, and the patient is live or what actually. What a funny thing actually you are doing. Because see, Vishavaidyan is capable without seeing, he is. So, mantravat samprayoktavyam, if you learn the science in a proper way, I think God or Dhanvantri will give you that. So you think in that angle, be confident in what you learn, like, and automatically I think actually we will know that. Because one more thing, there is an innovation cell in our campus, actually incubation and innovation. So all youngsters, okay, it is connected with Ayush also. The project actually, they come like actually, stainless, droni. For example, is this a need? Just imagine. So research is going, Kosuatti, soap. Okay, is this Ayurveda? So this is the way how the new generation doctors are being brought out, like actually. So according to research, for them it is Kosuatti, Uduvatti, soap, shampoo, all these things. It has gone to that level because they say like, oh, it is having a great potential. Is this the research like? Yeah, please.
So panelists have maximum of 7 minutes. Okay, not more than that because time is short. No, it's nothing to, sorry. But it's okay.
So, finally what I conclude is actually research is required, but that word is should be carefully used. And to a certain extent what I say is it is a white elephant. unless if it is not used in a proper way. Thank you.
I grown in Chennai seeing Dr. Madhusudan ji and J. Krishna ji on those days, 96, 97. On this dais, due respect, I say, is research in Ayurveda a white elephant? Not at all. The fundamentals of Ayurveda has to be researched? No. My mom is a mom. There is no need to look at who has to certify that. So, as per me, looking fundamentals of Ayurveda, it's well proven. But when we look into the pharmacology, yes, it's a need of the hour. Pharmacology we do with the Google, we do with the Rasna, compound molecules. It takes time, absolutely fine. But how we are going to talk to modern society, how Ayurveda works. Last 25 years, we treated more than 1,000 modern physicians. Those days I was so young, when I treat the doctors, I can't name it. When they come and they say how it works, I have a very simple answer to tell them. I'm here to treat you, not to teach you. We treat them, we get the results. Ayurveda give the results, there is no doubt. But how to document that? He says, yes, the reverse study can be done. How? A wonder drug called Histandine from Kerala Ayurveda. I'm a fan of it. I had a very strong relationship with Kerala Ayurveda by a single drug, single compound. I have to be very thankful to the family who formulate it. It's anti-allergic. Fine, wonderful. We start giving with the sinus patients. With the urticaria we give. Now we treat cancer patients that as an additive. We do wonders. But how to prove the world this works? There I says, I don't have any doubt on my mom, but why not we think what mom says, can we dissect and see how it works? So the fundamentals when we talk about Dinacharya, Ruducharya, or even Purva Karmas, or even the Panchakarma, we are the first guys we started doing Panchakarma at home. A lot of people made comment on that. But when COVID comes, everybody start sending Snehapanam. I says, it works, it works. The Ayurveda community agrees or not agrees, or the modern community agrees or not agrees. When Ayurveda works very well. In what language we are going to communicate this to the society? That's the need of the hour. It can take us the open discussion how this can be done. Maybe the organizations like Kerala Ayurveda or the pioneers, Kotakal, all has to think in this way. When we says pharmacological proof, it takes time. But it can take time, not in our lifetime. Maybe after 3 generations. If it could be done, it could be eye-opener. That's the need of the hour. That will take us to the next level. Thank you.
First of all, I thank Team Vaidyam for giving me this opportunity, and with all reverence and humble from my teachers, with your permission, I will give my views on this. So, the first question was, is research a white elephant? 2 of our elite panelists said yes. 1 of our panelists said no. And not for the sake of argument, but I am usually a fond bhakta of Narasimha, Lord Narasimha. You know, not inside, not outside. Not here, not there. Sometimes this is like Lord Narasimha's work, where Ayurvedic research is a white elephant in some places, yes, and no in some other places. For example, Dr. Chandramouli, our moderator, he said polyherbal formulations cannot be standardized. There is a lot of problem in standardizing them. very recently, during COVID time, a US-based company, but an Indian, what he did was he brought a polyherbal combination, but he did not make it in the Ayurvedic way. He used allopathic way of taking the flavonoids of different medicines like Acalypha indica and so on. And he used the modern way of research, the research methodology, but he brought in about 5 drugs in that. There were some Chennai doctors also who were involved in this. Like how our beloved JK sir said, I was surprised to see that initially the research when it went on, his team did not have one single Ayurveda doctor. Because people sometimes believe that without an Ayurveda doctor, a research can be performed. Okay? And they also believe research is not an Ayurvedic doctor's cup of tea. And to no surprise of anyone, it ended up being a white elephant. Although the drug is a very potent one, it has not reached the end user, that is the doctors. How many of us know that there is a proven drug for COVID in Ayurveda, which is accepted by the Ayush ministry? It is only the 3rd drug to be accepted by the Ayush ministry. Other than the Ayush ministry, they themselves bought Ayush 64, and then I think one other Sri Sri Ravi Shankarji's drug was there. This was a 3rd one. How many of us know this? The problem is not only in researching, it is the way you research. Sometimes the Ayurvedic doctors, we don't accept the way they have researched it. That is also there. So, as I said, to no one's surprise, it became a white elephant. He invested, I think, some crores of money into the drug. And by the time COVID was also over, and now, although there is a drug which is a proven drug, it is not very prevalent in the market. So yes, if you follow this modern way of research methodology, Ayurvedic research becomes a white elephant. I think we should start, research from the school age. From even now, research has penetrated into Ayurvedic colleges, is what I've been told. I have not been in the academia for about 2-3 years now. So with the instances like Spark and other this thing, even Ayurvedic students who are doing their BAMS have come into research. That is, they have developed a research aptitude. So the first question that we have to ask ourselves is, even before asking if this is a white elephant, who is asking us to research? Is there any need for research? Whenever you do something, what you should ask yourself, is there any need for me to sit here? Is there any need for me to do this? Right? Yes. Who's asking you is your patients. Today, the patients are convinced that if there is enough research behind a medicine, they are very happy to take it. Because after browsing through Google for 22 minutes, the patient thinks that he is better than the 18 years of formal training that we have had. That is what is their understanding. And yes, they ask for research. But to answer the second question, is research progressing in the right direction? Because it is not progressing in the right direction is what I feel, and that is why it is becoming a white elephant in many cases. So you introduce Ayurvedic terminologies like our beloved Dr. Sudhir sir said, you should have your own language. Start, how does my daughter who is studying in 6th standard knows what is heart, what is lung, what is liver, what is brain? Does she know Yakrit? Does she know Hridayam? Does she know Pranavayu? Does she know Apanavayu? She doesn't. Being an Ayurvedic doctor's daughter, she doesn't know all these terms because they are not formally taught, they are not formalized at a very early age with these jargon. I think that is where you need to start familiarizing your language to them. Like sir said, if I write most of my prescriptions, when I write the diagnosis, I learned from sir also. So I write it in Sanskrit. I write Gridrasi or something. So at least the patient, sometimes 1 out of 100 patients will look into their prescriptions with a little bit of this thing, and they'll be interested in looking at the prescription. They will ask us what it is. So you start from a very basic place, from what you know. Everything, you start from what you know, then you go to the unknown. That is research, right? H0, H1. You start from what you know and you proceed to what you don't know. So in that way, I think initially we'll also have to develop an Ayurvedic biology as a separate subject for BAMS students. You all have pathology, right? I was a lecturer later. I was the head of the department in our SJS college and in Saram Ayurveda college also for Ayurvedic diagnostics department, pathology department, Roga Nidana. We have pathology. How many of us are taught Ayurvedic biology? That is where your research will start. Then I also had the grace of having a classmate who did her PhD in Cambridge University in physics, and then she joined Ayurveda. She did not quit, but she took a long leave and then came and studied with us. And she looks at Ayurveda from a physicist's point of view. So there is Ayurvedic physics. She says there is Ayurvedic physics. Not many people know. And then comes Ayurvedic chemistry. It is not the chemistry that we are talking about today, like NaCl, Fe, Ca. Not that. It is about how Vata and Pitta, when Shita Guna and Ushna Guna are going to act together, how does Vatarakta come? How Vatarakta is produced. This is Ayurvedic chemistry. And if we are able to go towards this side in research and create our own path of research, today's modern evidence-based medicine, or allopathy as we call it colloquially, they have this research, but you will be surprised to know that my area of research is in PhD was fertility. So when I read about how they researched first, 350 years ago they thought the vapor from the sperm will go and impregnate a woman. That is what they thought and they believed it. Okay, after that, their way of research has led to today's drugs and today's modern, I should say, adaptations from many other systems of medicine like Ayurveda, Chinese medicine, and all that. So we should have our own way of research. We should start from biology, physics, and chemistry of Ayurveda, and maybe reshape the whole model of research. If that is happening, then Ayurvedic research will never be a white elephant, and it will be heading in the right direction, is what I believe. Thank you.
So people are doing research, but there is no outcome still. That is one really valid point. Okay. Then we are not able to provide the proper theoretical knowledge which we possess to the common public. Okay. Then Dr. Sudhir sir said, like what we are doing is the research, it is already done, and basically whatever is there in our Charaka Samhita yogas and other things, still we yet to bring every single yogas or everyone into our practice. Okay. And we are studying Ayurveda with modern perception. Okay. And definitely to do a research, we should have our own language, Ayurveda language. Okay. And need a proper tool, we have to develop, then only the Ayurvedic research can, progress in the right direction. Okay. So according to Dr. Sri Verma, though it may take years, still Ayurvedic pharmacology must be researched properly. It should be evolved properly in order to convince the modern world. And according to Dr. Bharat, yes, in some cases it is, he clearly explained, it's a white elephant. In some cases it is not. Okay. Definitely whether we need to have a research, yes, definitely we need to have a research, because the patients are well informed nowadays, and we need to, if you need to convince them, we have to have the evidence-based and research-based methodology should be there, okay? And definitely Ayurvedic biology, which is a very valid point, should be there, that seed should be put in the school levels, government has already started, but hopefully, when it comes to this Ayurvedic biology, it should start picking up, and which is a very valid point. So these are the points being proposed by the panel members, okay? So if the Ayurveda, to conclude, is it progressing in a right direction? Maybe yes and no, but mostly, in no, okay? Still we have to do a proper tool and everything so that it can properly follow a right direction, okay? So now moving to the second question, how has research helped validate Ayurveda, identify limitations or disprove misconceptions up to now? How has research in Ayurveda helped validate Ayurveda, identify limitations or disprove misconceptions?
I think the research what has been done last many years, as I told you earlier, I think literary research definitely helped to have a open communication with the contemporary people or scientific community or the Western people, what we say. But one of my experience I told you, Dr. Sivals was mentioning about our teacher, Dr. C.R. Agnivesh, was one of the first doctor to visit Western countries, especially Moscow, Russia, to have a interdisciplinary programs with Kottakkal Ayurveda. He was our teacher. He was one of the very great intelligent persons in the field of Ayurveda. So he used to visit Russia and many times interact with the doctors there. Then later in Coimbatore College, when we invited him for a big seminar, he came and talked to me, and on the seminar he told that it is very difficult to convince Westerners about Vata Pitta Kapha. So that was, I think, in 96 it happened. So I said it's not difficult to convince Western people, because 95, the first batch of foreigners course was conducted by me in Coimbatore. That is how it was started. So I didn't find it difficult to convince anybody about Vata Pitta Kapha. So he said it's difficult. He asked me also, where did you get all this knowledge? Not from Kottakkal, somewhere else you got it. How did you convince? I said, if you just look into the Ashtanga Hridayam or Ayurveda, deeply you can convince. There's no big issue. I just wanted to tell you how we validated. See, we are trying to present our knowledge. Please ensure that this is a knowledge system. This is not a medicine. Okay, this is not a medicine. A medicine known as ginger is a wonderful medicine in Jwara if you know what exactly Jwara is. Otherwise, it's a dangerous medicine in Jwara. It's a kitchen item. In what stage of Jwara it becomes a powerful medicine. It is your knowledge which is working. Otherwise, ginger is a very ordinary thing. Okay. So I say Ayurveda is a knowledge system where you are working. If you want to convince somebody, it can be convinced. There's no issue with that. Modern medicine is a drug-based system. That's why you are looking into the drug. That drug, this drug, and it will not be working. That we have already seen in the research that I mentioned in 95. Dr. Fan from US, he was trying to make a case sheet which is agreeable for Ayurveda and allopathy. 1.5 years he was asking, what is that you need when you go to a bedside examination? What information you collect from a patient? when you visit the patient every day. Ayurvedic people also said we look for BP, pulse, heart rate, everything, auscultation, percussion, palpation, reflex, everything we look. He said, Dr. Fan said, that we will look. What information do you need to understand the disease? Unfortunately, we were not able to give it properly. 1.5 years later, I think you'll be knowing Dr. Somit. In another meeting, he was presenting a case sheet which we were using in the college based on the Panchalakshana Nidana, which includes all aspects of the modern case sheet that we were using internally as a case sheet. He was presenting it in front of a crowd, Ayurvedic crowd. So, every day morning what you are so observing to give same medicine or to change a medicine or to change a treatment, what is that you want? Suppose the blood pressure has gone up. You have any medicine for that? No. So what are you looking for every day? We have correct information, Dushyam, Desham, Belam, Galam, at least some of those things based on which you can change a medicine. You need to change a medicine so that what is going on will be more effective. Then the director of that research was sitting behind. He said, this is what I was asking for 1.5 years. That is how a case sheet agreeable to Ayurveda and allopathy was agreed upon to do a clinical research. So I would like to mention that Ayurveda is a knowledge system and we have to go for the reverse understanding also. Medicine is working, Dhanvantari Thailam is curing back pain. Why it is curing? Then what is a disease? What has happened in the disease condition? Do we know that? It's not based on L4, L5. Some other reason is there, that's why the oil is effective. If you know the disease in our own terms, we can use the medicine in our own terms. If you have to know the disease, then you must know the body in our own terms. See, the Vata Pitta Kapha theory is there, based on which you understand normalcy, based on which you understand the disease, based on which you understand the medicine, based on which you understand the Panchakarma. Everything is based on Vata Pitta Kapha understanding. Are we convinced about it? 100% convinced? No. We take the knowledge of anatomy, physiology to understand the body, anatomy, physiology to understand the pathology, then medicine we are searching. We have our own method because we know that this is 5,000, 10,000 years old system. Anatomy, physiology has come last 400 years, 500 years. Even before that also system was existing. People were treating, everybody was not dying. So there was a different knowledge mechanism, ancient knowledge formulation mechanism, based on which you understand the body, based on which you understand the disease, what is going wrong in the disease process, based on which you are trying to understand what are your options to work in that. In that, medicine is one thing, food is another thing, activities are another thing. So you make a comprehensive plan to change what has gone wrong in the body. So it becomes a knowledge system where you are able to work provided you know it to convince. I used to say that Vata Pitta Kapha theory is not convinced because we look into Vata Pitta Kapha theory from the chemistry point of view or anatomy or physiology point of view. We all are studied in the scientific mode right from first standard onwards. So we don't doubt about anatomy or physiology or a stethoscope or a sphygmomanometer because it is scientific. When we come to study Ayurveda, the BAMS is, Vata Pitta Kapha theory is not based on science. So you don't get convinced. It is the duty of the teacher to make them convinced, or it's the duty of the teacher to intellectually provoke the student so that they will go on searching things. Their things will be working. Once Vata Pitta Kapha theory is convinced, you can look everything from that angle. Disease, medicine, treatment, everything from that angle can be there. This conviction can be communicated to a scientific community. We think that scientific community knows everything. Everybody knows very clearly, according to the modern science, nearly 1,256 diseases have been identified. Out of that, 80% of the diseases are incurable. For us, it is not 1,286. Innumerable diseases. Anandyam taradamayo yogadascha. Innumerable disease. COVID comes, we are not surprised. It can come. New disease can come. Our duty is to put it into our knowledge system and work accordingly. Whatever is needed, you will take it. Whoever is looking deeply into this knowledge system, they can work very well. This can be easily communicated also to the Westerners, scientific community. The reason is that modern education is based on physics, chemistry, and partially biology. Our theories are based on philosophies, not physics, chemistry. So some knowledge, light into the philosophical understanding of looking at the whole world. Like physics says solid, liquid, gases, ether make the whole world. Like that, we also must be able to talk about how you look at the whole world. Same methodology, we look at the body. Then we are working on that understanding. So that methodology has to be there so that it can be convincingly communicated to the educated community, Western people or scientific community. Or rather, Western community is looking into an area where the science has got limitations. That is why Vedic mathematics, Vedic MBA, now they say Gayatri Mantra is the best thing to provoke brain. So they are looking into the old mechanism of knowledge formulation. We cannot run away from that. We must be contributing to that, provided we are very clear about what is our Shastra. It's not science. Shastra is beyond science. Where science ends, Shastra begins. Okay. So I say when the case sheet is written, I used to say when the scientists came from all the way from London to introduce AI technology to Ayurveda, I said it's not easy. Science always depends on the physical symptoms, objective symptoms to record. So modern medicine is easy. We depend 50% on the objective symptom, 50% on the subjective symptoms. When I ask the patient, you feel hot? I don't mean temperature. I mean the feel of the patient in the mind. To say that pitta is there, that heat feeling is not temperature. So that cannot be taken by a camera. I told the scientist, he started learning all Ashtangaradhyam, Sangram, everything. And there also I told him that you cannot have a literary translated book. You need to learn how to read in between the lines. That is Shastra. Whereas science, you can just read the book, meaning you get a picture of it. Shastra, you need to understand in between the lines. We call it as bhavartha. It's not vakyartha, bhavartha. Then only you understand what you are going to do. You are getting a knowledge system. You are getting educated in that angle so that you look in a particular methodology, a process of thought. And this thought process will be working very well. So it should be reflected in education, research, or all eradication programs of Government of India. Like we have, you see, anemia eradication program is there for Government of India. Thinking that anemia is just absence, reduction of iron. Ayurvedic people also think anemia is reduction of iron. Actually, it is no. For us, the Pandu disease is a big disease. One of that area is a reduction of blood. Even blood going beyond your requirement is also Pandu. Big diseases should come under Pandu, like blood cancer and all. So we think anemia is familiar once anatomy physiology is told. Diabetes is very clear once anatomy physiology is told. But Pandus never become clear. Prameha is not clear. How can you do a research in that? Only in the final year you become alert and ask for that. What is the herb for reducing the sugar? What is the herb for improving iron? I say fundamentals, you are studying anatomy, physiology, pathology studied from the modern angle, only medicine you are looking, then it becomes just a herbal botany. It's not Ayurveda. If at all you find out that Philanthus niruri has got philandin, it is adding to the modern pharmacology. Neem has got nimbidin. Ayurvedic people, can we use it based on that knowledge? A good physician can use the neem in different ways, not because it contains nimbidin. That knowledge contributes to the modern pharmacology, not Ayurveda. That's why I say, if at all research has to be pursued, it should be in our own terms, not based on scientific terms. Thinking that because education is in the scientific mode, we think that scientific becomes proper, or it is 100% true. And Western people will be convinced with a scientific mood. That's wrong. They have reached the maximum and they are coming back to in a different angle. So I think we must be prepared about how far we are convinced about our Shastra before we convince the other communities. We must have a conviction of our own thing, then you should be convincing others, whether it is through the research mechanism or any other mode of communication. So research is possible to create a bigger awareness in any areas, whether it is a literary research or a drug research or a clinical research. Issue is that whether we are able to contribute to the healing of patients, how far we can sincerely do to the curing of patients. For that matter only we are doing all this research work and all. Okay.
It is productive. Even though there are some problems in that also, because I am talking from a teacher perspective. Because, for example, a teacher in the college actually teaches the student, like actually, Vanavayu, Vikshepochita Karmana, Yogabat Sarvadaya, Uksheva, Nimesha, Unmeshana Adiga. So the teacher is explaining, something is moving upwards, downwards, etc. So this karma is done by Vyanavayu. Okay, and the teacher goes out, and this student takes a modern textbook, and he reads actually, see, William Harvey is the person who has found the blood circulation. And again, the next day, the same teacher comes to the class, and again, see, that was by, Brihatrais. And once you come to the Lagutrais, actually, Sharangdara has mentioned like, Vyanena Rasadadurhi Vikshebochita Karmana. There he uses the word Rasadadu. It is blood. So he emphasizes actually the circulation is, we have references for circulation in Ayurveda. Again, the student is getting confused actually. See, modern also he is learning. That is the problem. So it says William Harvey. And teacher is saying again, Sharangdara is explaining about how the blood circulation is happening in the body. So it is very difficult actually to, convince, as sir rightly told, Bharat and JK sir told, like, we should bring it from the root itself. Even according to me, maybe schools actually for Bharat, I say like first year onwards, at least. So students are getting confused actually. See, modern says something and our teacher is saying something and our textbooks are saying something. So for that actually research is required, and it is one side. And clinical, if you become a clinician actually, what the problem is, patient comes with RA positive, uric acid positive, HLA-B27 positive, INA positive, anti-nuclear antibody ANA positive, all these things. And we treat it. Okay, if the values are coming down, no problem. Okay, that is one research actually. But another case comes like actually all the tests are negative. And same Pratiksha people has named it as zero negative arthritis. Okay, in that case, how we are going to achieve it? Patient is responding. And the patient is feeling better, the disease has cured. So what is the tool there actually? We don't have it. So seronegative arthritis, how it has come, cannot be traced. So they have come to that Okay, so in clinical research, actually, it is very difficult. But the problem is, as my co-panelists told me, like how we are going to convince patients only. You should make sure that actually it doesn't contain, actually, you are not mixing any allopathy medicine into that. Make sure that it is Ayurveda. And if the patient is the tool, actually. Who is a big doctor? Nothing, actually. Okay, the patients make us big, that is all. So the patients will get you another patients, actually. They are your ambassadors. They will talk loudly, actually. Go to that doctor, he will cure it. So that is the biggest evidence, actually. What I'm saying is all evidence-based science, actually. See, patients are, but you should not, Google, star, all those things should not be there. It should be a very open approach, actually, very transparent. They will bring you. And one more thing, actually, see, all these days, actually, our science is surviving. If you take modern theory, actually, you can see that actually it keeps on changing. Today, coconut oil is cholesterol. Tomorrow, it becomes, okay, it is not at all cholesterol. Okay, so it is being updated, actually, it keeps on changing. My question is, have you got any Chadurtha dosham here? Any Saptama, Ashtama Dhatu there? Or sixth Buddha? No. So, according to me, what I say is, it is ultra refined, actually. And clinically, what happens is, one thing I want to tell you is, among the Ayurvedic fraternity, it is a balancing of the equation. What I'm saying is, how many of you are analyzing Jwaram? Ashtavida Jwaram is there. So whether this is Vada, see, if you are giving, Indugandha Gashayam, actually it is Jwaram Nimnom Naharam, Vishama Jwaram. So we should boldly say like, Indugandham should be used in Vishama Jwaram. So how can it keeps changing actually to another doctor, it becomes Amrotram. How Vishama Jwaram and Amrotram was connected. So if you analyze it actually, Sankhya Samprapti or Vigilpa Samprapti, we are differing actually. So that should not happen. Because modern medicine, they have a very clear approach like actually, okay, in this case, this has to be given, antibiotic or steroid or whatever. But ours is what happens is, even in Jwaram, you can have multiple medicines actually. So I think personally, this is my personal view, what I'm saying, we have to be a little more deeper into the science and understand actually, okay, this is, okay, for example, where is Vyakradi in Jwaram actually? It should be Vada Gaba Jwaram. And Drakshadi, it should be Vada Pitta Jwaram actually. So we are not going to that level, and the new technique of mixing the Kashayas is in the field now. You are mixing Indugandham, Amrutram and Vyakradi, and all Jwaram will be subsided. So that is the easiest technique actually. So then Acharyan actually shouldn't have mentioned all this, Sankhya Samprapti, Ashtavida Jwaram, Panjavida Kasam Shwasam, right? So if you have a common consensus among us in generating a prescription, and we say this is this for which I give this one, then from that level onwards, you can start thinking like actually, research how we can proceed with how this Vishama Jwaram is, Indugandham is working in Vishama Jwaram. Okay, from that level you can think, but we differ in that. And I clearly remember, I think Madhu sir only told years back actually, whether sir is remembering it or what, I don't know. Many of the back pain cases, we call it as, low backache or sciatica, all those things. After the treatment, patient is much better. And if you again take the, MRI actually, the canal diameter might have come, only marginal changes. But when the patient came before the treatment, the patient was unable to walk. But after the treatment, the patient is walking actually. So how you are going to use this MRI parameter to that? I think sir has mentioned it once actually. It is a very practical question actually. So the thing, how on that MRI basis, how we are going to. And many PG, institutes actually, what they do is, because I'm also a PG man actually, I know, okay, your every values are based on research methodology and statistics. 90% of statistics is cooked up. Okay, first you should be sincere in your work. Okay, the statistician will decide actually what is the value. Am I right? And that research is going to say like actually, okay, this is this is that. So see, a diluted work actually, how you can confidently say that. And after all, actually, all this research actually, see, if what I say from my personal view is, if you convince your patient, this is the medicine, you take it will be cured, 90% of thing is done. But that confidence level actually. So as CEO sir has said that gentleman actually, doctor was not confident. He brought God also. Because Sir, our science says like abhyasad prapyade karma siddhi pragashini. So constant practice only. So it will take some time. That time is actually, we can't count it actually 2 years or 5 years. It depends on person to person. Kalandharana Gambiram actually. See, whether Ajay has mentioned actually, Uttana Vadashonidam goes into Gambhira Avastha. In it, days are there. Kalandharam, that kalam actually depends on the patient's, Mithya Ahara Viharas. So these are the inner lines actually. So before jumping into, clinical research actually, we should have some sort of consensus. This is personally what I say. Otherwise, you will cook up something, you will bring a negative thesis, and that the whole thing will be diluted. Thank you.
To the Ayurveda, the teachers' intellectual ability make them understand what it is. But when they come out, who's doing the research in Ayurveda now? One side, the traditional believers, they do the research. The other part, the IITians. There is a machine which can diagnose the nadi. How come? There's a question in my heart. How come? How it's possible? But the brain says, hey, the Ministry of Ayush is encouraging. They're telling, come with more projects like this. And another AI, there is a machine which can do your Prakriti, Vikriti analysis, everything that can do, and that can suggest the drug of choice also. I gave the order just to get the machine and dismantle and see what it do. Again, the scientific world which is looking at that inventions as the future Ayurveda. The upcoming doctors, they are in the middle of the road to look. Is it follow the traditional belief of Ayurveda? Do I get a guidance from a Vaidya or a Guru to guide me? Or I look into this research papers or the new inventions of Ayurveda. Again, the companies, I don't know to name it, from North, they claim they did all the research and all the papers given, and their drug, it's a magic remedy. Every disease they have a medicine and which cures. Even the Supreme Court hit on their head. But I was a regular visitor on another forum. They are our colleagues. They have all the machineries which imported. Every year when I visit, the machine still with the plastic papers covered and says this function, so today it is not operating. The next year, this event, so we have closed it. But they publish more than 300 papers in Ayurveda. So the beginners of Ayurveda, how they understand Ayurveda. A drug comes, it's a diabetic juice. When we are looking at it, very fancy words, but it claims a paper. It's clinically proven. What is proven? So Ayurveda research is happening. In which direction and where we are. And who's doing the research, it matters. Are Ayurveda graduates in their UG, they're trying to think in this way. When doctor said, yes, it's Ayurveda biology has to be developed, 100% I agree. Dosha, Dadu, Chakras, Koshas, Mamas, wonderful science, no doubt, no doubt. But the question, is it Ayurveda doctors to understand modern pharmacology? A patient comes to us, they're taking X, Y, Z modern medicines. Are we there to say, you stop these medicines, I treat with Ayurveda? Or we say, you take the medicines and you do Ayurveda along with that. My dad is a Vaidya. He says, you stop Ayurveda, you stop allopathy, I treat with Ayurveda. That's his one condition. He treat, he cures. He's a Vaidya. The village, nothing matters. When somebody take the responsibility, they listen and they do. The challenge at the city practice in Ayurveda, when we're telling you stop and you take this. Anyhow, due to the aging process, when emergencies happens, the patients goes to the modern hospitals. emergencies, they are not coming to Ayurveda. So there the doctors, their first blame, first hitters, you took this medicine, because of this it happens. Somebody last week, they made a big claim, they give some of the patient took ashwagandha and a liver collapsed. So, research where we are, what we are communicating next generation Ayurveda doctors. Is it integrated medicine or is it mixopathy? What will be the future? The Ayush department is very open. Every meeting they says, come with the proposals, we are there. But who give the direction? Is it the traditional Vaidyas, they says, no need of anything to research, you take this, it cures. Or somewhere the pharmacology companies, they start their subsidiaries into Ayurveda and they says, this alkaloid works where we are. A good Ayurveda practitioner who practice from morning to evening, they are busy with the patients. Are they there to teach? The teachers of Ayurveda, are they really convinced the science of Ayurveda and they are teaching? So, the question has to go little deeper to get the answer. I'm very happy what you conveyed the Ayurveda biology in the same way. Is it Ayurveda doctors should understand the modern science, at least to communicate to them? Maybe we may get an answer at the end of the session. Thank you.
Thank you, Chandramouli sir. This is a very passionate topic for me. I usually talk about this to my students. So if I go out of time, please just let me know. So the question was, how has research helped Ayurveda in its validation? Yes, research has always been helping us. As I said, we are not going to research for the allopathic doctors who are asking for evidence in their own jargon. Okay? We are not doing research for them. It is for our own knowledge, for us to learn more, and yes, of course, for the patients, like how I told you. There are people who want treatments which are evidence-based. But when you say evidence-based, I again reiterate Ayurvedic evidence-based. I get patients who have read my papers which I have published, and then they come to me based on that. Sir, I saw your paper and then that's why I came to you. It is not because of word of mouth or any other. So yes, there is validation because of research. So there is no, it's a no-brainer. Research has to be there, and yes, it does validate Ayurveda. And what limitations we have? I think the first limitation we have, or what we are at least asked, is you lack standardization in your medicines. Different companies produce the same Rasnadi Kashaya with the different formulations, with different drug concentration. And why is that? The same one company calls Rasna Erandadi Kashaya as Rasnadi Kashaya, and another calls Rasnadi Kashaya itself as Rasnadi Kashaya. So the ingredients, the dosage, I don't think there is any uniformity in that, and rightly so. Each person has their own way of formulating their kashaya. For example, even a very simple a drug like a polyherbal drug like Triphala, it only has 3, Kadaka, Nilika, Dandrika, right? Only Haritik, Vibhitiki and Amaliki. But in different proportions, I myself in my clinic, I have about 5 different types of Triphala. And then there is one Brihat Triphala by another company also. So that is 1:2:4, 1:1:1, like that. The ingredients differ in their percentage. So first of all, is this kind of a standardization needed is a question, where each person will have, you should be allowed to have your own mixture of kashayas, and that is why we also prepare our own medicines in many places. Okay, so that is a question that I would like an answer from others. So lack of standardization, I think, is a problem for patients to accept our medicines. The second one is there is inadequate integration with modern research technologies and methodologies is another question that we have been asked. Like I said, this modern RCTs might not be the only way for us to research. It could be one of the ways where you can research, yes, but like how we talked about, it does not, fully adapt our Ayurvedic diagnostic principles like it can be Prakriti, it can be Dosha Vikriti, or it can be the Samprapti. So it does not exactly take into consideration all of those, and yes, that is why RCTs are a poor way of in many cases, not in all cases, but yes. Again, this is Narsimha Avatara coming out. So, in some places, yes, and some places, no. Okay. So, for example, why do we need a little bit of modern knowledge is, sir was talking about biochemistry. There is, for example, when my patients come, I tell them when they have severe hunger and they want to control obesity, I tell them you always start all your meals with a peeled cucumber and maybe a glass of water after that, and then you have your food. Why did I get this knowledge? Not only because I read the Arshastra, there is something called as cucurbitacin in cucumber. There is B, C, D, E, cucurbitacin. Okay, it is a kind of pitta contradicting factor because it has the Shita Guna also, it has a lot of water in it, and because of that it controls the pitta in the stomach. Okay, so this is how did we come to this understanding is this cucurbitacin, it actually aids in satiety. That is what we call in Ayurveda trupti. After having food, you should have that satiety. Okay, so why it does that? Because it does gut hormone secretion modulation and other bitter components. There is one component I talk to my students about, it is called GLP-1. So people usually who are obese keep gulping. I say GLP-1 takes the U out of gulp. GULP becomes GLP. That is, you will stop gulping if you have enough GLP. See, when I talk about cucurbitacin or GLP or PYY, these are all satiety giving bitter components. We should be able to look at it from an Ayurvedic point of view of Tikta Rasa, which is helping the Pitta dosha to reduce the extra Pitta in the stomach. So, if you are able to use this Parashastra to look at your own Shastra and interpret it in your own way, then yes, the limitations go away. Other than that, I also feel there is infrastructure and funding, there is a problem when it comes to, we have limited institutional supports for independent researchers, and then there are a lot of places there is lack of funding, outdated lab facilities are used. These are all one of the things which limit us. And then very importantly, last but not the least, we do not have many programs like integrating programs like this one where the industry, academia and the clinics, all three come together. These three have to come together for you to, people here, even the panelists, if you see, there are people from all places. So that is how we want integration to happen. That is a limitation when it comes to Ayurvedic research. Okay, and misconceptions, people say Ayurveda is not evidence-based. Ayurveda is extremely evidence-based. It might not have enough modern style evidence that people are asking for, but we have centuries and centuries of experimental and documented clinical evidence. Most of the times these are very much undervalued, underrated. So yes, we do have a lot of evidence, more than many other systems of medicine. And the second misconception is randomized clinical trials are the only way to go about. No, randomized clinical trials, like how I talked before, might not be the only way to go ahead. Like how JK sir very rightly pointed out.
Dr. Bharat, another two more questions are there. So
I'll finish fast. I'll just finish with this one point. Like how JK sir very rightly pointed out, your research, the technique that you use, the methodology that you use, the tool that you use, if that is wrong, then the result can also be wrong. Actually, the drug will be working and you might end up saying it is not working. Even Sudhir sir was very right in saying that. So other than if you say Ayurveda is not scientifically validated, or only modern tools will define research quality, it's not something that we will accept. Like I said, we will have to bring up our own way of research. Thank you, sir.
So thank you. Is Ayurveda is helping helping to validate Ayurveda? Research is helping Ayurveda to validate. Yes, all of them agreed. Yes, it is helping, but it should be once again done it in a proper way and a proper direction. Okay, and Dr. J.K. sir said it is basically it's not drug-based system. It's a knowledge-based system. You know, which is not only we cannot confine Ayurveda only with drugs. It is beyond medicines and drugs. Okay, then according to Dr. Sudhir sir also. Okay, what is the biggest evidence? Patients are the biggest evidence. Okay, that's a very good point. And there should be a standard protocol. Okay, so that everybody can properly follow it. He gave the example of Indugandham Keshayam in Vishamajora. Okay, and Dr. Srivarma also agreed that it is progressing in a right direction, but not with the correct people. Okay, the Ayurvedic people are not included, where many other system people are done. And according to Dr. Bharat, the limitations are there because of lack of funding, and there is less integrative process between the stakeholders of Ayurveda, various stakeholders of Ayurveda, like academicians or the various companies are in between the government. Okay, so to conclude, yes, it is helping to validate Ayurveda, but still refinement is necessary. Okay, so with that we are going to the third question. Will standardized protocols for research destroy the spirit of Ayurveda? So standardization is necessary or not? If you standardize, will it destroy the spirit of Ayurveda? So panelists, Darij, destroy the spirit of Ayurveda.
If at all we are going to standardize the protocol, basic protocols, it should be based on the Ayurvedic understanding, then it will not destroy Ayurveda. That's what I have been trying to say. On this context, I would like to say that, see, Oxford University has come out 10 years back telling that teaching in the PhD level is not a business of 10 to 4. Okay. PhD level teaching, chemistry, they were telling about chemistry teaching. Where in PhD levels, you are supposed to imbibe the thought process of the teacher, for which you need to remain with the teacher. It's not 10 to 4, 1 hour, 2 hour sessions. 1 or 2 hour session, you are learning only book. It's not the thought process of the teacher. So any subject in the intellectual level, understanding or learning or knowing is based on how the teacher is understood the subject. So actual teacher is like that. When we say Ragadi Rogan and all, it's not the book. The way I understood that matter has to be communicated. That is actual teaching. That's why I say a good teacher will be intellectually provoking the student. So teaching the subject, teachers will be having a better access to the subject. They should be involved in all these kind of programs, research, whatever it is. We must understand that in 60s and 70s, 80s, up to 80s, Ayurveda was exported to the Western countries as if we have got some wonderful herbs. They took single drugs and all herbs because it is safe, not as a medicine but as a food supplement. 20-25 years they tried it was not effective, so it was rejected. 80s onwards, another 20-25 years, we presented to the West as if we have a Panchakarma program where we can cleanse the body and make it pure, healthier. This was taken by, I think, Maharshi Ayurveda, basically, but all other people also followed the suit. So 20-25 years, throughout the world, in the so-called scientific community, and knowledgeable people, civilized society, this Panchakarma was taken. Even to the communist Russia it was taken. But without any internal correction with medicine or food or activities, Panchakarma also was ineffective. Gradually everywhere it was closed down. In that context, now we are trying to promote the Ayurveda as a preventive and promotive aspect. Comfortable Ayurveda, where you get the Pirichil, Navarakiri, all kind of things. Comfortable Ayurveda we are promoting because the curative Ayurveda needs a strong founding knowledge of this theory. Since that is lacking in our field, this is an internal discussion, I say it is absolutely lacking. Most of the academies, the strong conviction of our theories are lacking, or rather, for example, tell you, you get a heart pain, a chest pain. Your primary knowledge will be that it is a heart-related condition. Because you are very convinced about what is heart, what is anatomy, what is the physiology of heart, what is the pathology of heart, you are convinced. So any chest pain, you will think that it could be related to heart. What is the management? Because we don't know what is a hridayam, we don't know what is the possibility of disease there. We don't know gulma. As a complication of gulma, only get a heart disease. So gulma is not convincing. It's not at all convincing in colleges. Then how do you think about a possibility of a medicine or a medical management? Naturally, you have to send it to somebody else. You don't have an option to think about it in a different language. So what you know is the modern knowledge. What you have to do is an Ayurvedic medicine, and that is missing. So naturally your first reaction will be a panic. In any acute condition, Ayurvedic people will be having a panic reaction. Because what you know is 70% modern knowledge. What you have to practice is an Ayurveda. So there is always a mismatch, or we say internal paradox, opposite knowledges, confusion will be there, panic will be there. What is the solution in doing all these things? You must have a conviction in our own thing. This is not against modern knowledge. I was anatomy teacher for 29 years. So the way you take anatomy, you take it completely in the modern way. When you talk about Ayurvedic area, for example, I tell you L4, L5. Everybody is convinced about the disc prolapse. When you take anatomy in the lower posterior part of the anatomy, you can talk like that. L4, L5. What is the solution? Everybody will say Kadivasti. It's not Ayurveda, it's allopathic understanding. That's what I say. Our concern is how it has happened to that person. Yada dushtena doshena yada chanu visarpada. Yada samprapti. How it has happened. How the L4, L5 is degenerated, disc is dehydrated, dried, bone is degenerated, muscles or ligaments are going weaker due to continuous strain of sitting or whatever it is. Why the bones are not nourished properly from the food that you are taking? Then you have to naturally look into the intestine. That has to give the nourishment. It's not happening. That's why bone is degenerating. And what is the way to nourish? You have to soothen the bone structures, muscles, ligaments, everything. According to Ayurveda, it is the skin, whole skin is the root, because that is a Vadasthana. It's not a Kadivasti local. Whole skin is a route to induce the snigdha content to any structure. Second, the dryness is maintained actually by the large intestine, Pakwasya. Pakwadanam Visheshada. Second option will be the Vasti. To see that the smoothness, the snigdha content is induced into the L4, L5. When you are convinced that Abhyangam is the treatment for the whole body, whether it is a neck problem or a back problem or a knee problem, then it is an Ayurvedic understanding. When you say Griva Vasti or Kadi Vasti or a Janu Vasti, your understanding is from the Western science. Whatever knowledge you gather from the Western science, you must be able to translate it into our own understanding so that you can make it a effective thing. This can be explained to a modern doctor also. I say it is convincing. The basic issue is that, are we convincing about our own Shastra? Then we try to convince other people, to satisfy other people, put the research methodology into them. Even education we have copied down. 3 parts of education, you know. First we teach the normalcy of the body, normal functions of the body, so that you understand the diseases, what is happening in a disease. When normalcy is understood, deviation from the normalcy is known as a disease. That will be understood in the second part of education. So that in third part we talk about what are your options to manage it. This is happening in BMS education also. The issue is that since BMS started, I belong to the first batch of BMS. Majority of the teachers teach modern aspect very well, Ayurvedic aspect casually. Since modern aspect is based on science, we are also exposed to the scientific education schools, we are convinced. Other aspect, we are not convinced, we are just reading the books, by hearting the books. We are not knowing it, we are learning, we are not knowing. So that part has to be easily done by the teachers, because they are in touch with the books. Practitioners need not be in touch with the book, you know, you don't have time. As he rightly told, you can't explain, you can teach, because he is busy with the practice. Others can actually have a time with students who over seeks knowledge, they can communicate. Western people, they can communicate. Scientific community, they can communicate. Teachers should be putting a lot of effort to get convinced themselves so that they can communicate with the seekers of knowledge. Then I think all other aspects of research, education, programs related to the health management by the government of India, where we can contribute a lot.
For Ayurvedic medicines, and finally Ayurveda people will have to quit the science, quit the scene. And they will bring up like actually, okay, Sarpagandha is actually Reserpin is, once upon a time, even allopathy doctors accepted actually Reserpin is reducing the BP. Now they say like actually Reserpin is creating GI disorders or GI bleeding and suicidal tendency. Then I told actually, of course, but in Ayurveda we are not using Reserpin. We are using Sarpagandha Samulam. Sarpagandha tablet may be containing Reserpin, that is another thing. But there are so many other things which reduces the side effects of Reserpin like GI bleeding or suicidal tendencies. So an Ayurveda person can only contemplate on it actually. See, so finally what happens is Reserpin will be lost. Okay, Sarpagandha will be lost. And the funny thing is, Sarpagandha, actually where is BP reference in Ayurveda? First year student studies like Rakta Jabam. What is the reference? Any Acharya has mentioned Rakta Jabam? It is Abhinava Acharyas actually. Okay, so you have to think what is the classical reference for this, and whether, according to me, if I say it is an Avarnajanya Vadavyadi, where actually if you Anyonya Avaranam, you will get some references for actually, hypertension actually, systemic hypertension, not pulmonary hypertension. So you have to bring that disease under that title, and we have to treat it properly. Of course, I am also using Sarpagandha, the HT code, all those things. I am sorry, but we should have a concrete concept. What is this? Okay, that is one side. So without that, actually, if we say like, okay, now that tomorrow onwards, nobody Ayurveda people is going to write any Sarpagandha tablet in hypertension. And next is, where the problem lies is, what my analysis I'll tell you. Once a student enters in first year, he will be bombarded, okay, with a slogan like, Egam Shastra Madhyano na Vidyadi Shastra Nischayam, Tasmad Bahusradam Shastram. Adnale, Ayurveda Murche, Homeo Padche, Siddha Padche, Allopathy Padche, Sagra Vaisle, Edo and Ambatanja Vaisle, Edo Marinda Porke Vendida. If teachers actually, they teach them. It is not the way actually. See, do you think like actually those days Acharya has mentioned about allopathy, contemporary understanding? No. So what are the Shastras in those days actually? You have to think about it. For example, I'll tell you, okay, see, Graheshu Anuguneshu Ega Dosha Marga Nava Sukha actually, Sukhasadi Lakshana. Who knows actually his Graham and my Graha Nala is, okay, good for this particular patient to be cured. So for which we should actually, I think Sunandan is the best person to talk about actually. Okay, that Graha Nala has to be for which you should know, okay, horoscope, astrology, so many things. So allied topics, actually you have to be very thorough. And what I strongly believe is, if you have a complete knowledge is an exaggeration, or if you have some knowledge about all these Shastras connected with us, okay, I think actually research will go to the back seat. You will have a complete man who can be able to answer the questions. So that is what I have understood. And one more thing I'll tell you. One, Jamnagar student actually, Dravya Guna in PG, presented a topic like Dashmula Haridigi standardization. See, Dravya Gunam, herbs or medicines actually standardization in Ayurveda is a big Balikeramala, what I say. Because the problem is it's very simple, and that was a huge argument like he said finally this is the best in the market. Then I asked who said this is the best? I can give you another best. Then he told actually the best shop in Jamnagar, I collected Dashamula, Haridagi, etc. Then I told, dear friend, I'm not talking about that actually. See, we have a reference like actually Dashamulam. Moolam has to be collected in one season. And Haridagi is a Balam. That phala has to be collected in one season. We have references, whether you have collected it. He don't know, because he told actually I bought from the open market. So then he brought actually that saponification test, ash test. He started talking about it. And he finally said, this is the best. I told them that values actually, if I am preparing, bringing another Deshmula Haridigi, which is having a better values, what is your say? So because he doesn't know whether this root has been collected from in that particular season, and the phalam has been collected in particular season. So where the research goes then? And next is actually Ayurveda people, we should have a thorough knowledge about what we learn. We should have a confidence in what the science we learn, and you should do the research. For example, how many of you know that actually Udiji Disham rootus, Prashastha Beshajam actually, Udiji Dishamashridam, Avagada Moolam, Udiji Dishamashridam, Acharya has mentioned. Udiji Disha is actually south, I think actually. And any teacher has explained it in the class. Teacher should say like actually that is there, Udiji, because a root will, a plant will have, or a tree will have so many roots in various directions actually. So what is so special about south? And in astrology, or if you study astrology, it says actually that is the seat for, south is the seat for Chandran. And Aushadida, Ishan is actually the Aushadatoda, Ishan, or the goddess Chandran. So the root which is going towards the Chandran is having more potency. So are we collecting those drugs? So you collect those drugs and conduct your research on it. Then it will be productive. Otherwise, what is the fun in blaming the science? So what I'm saying is, we should have a thorough knowledge about our science. Especially being a teacher, I tell all my first year teachers like actually convince your students like this is basic things we should learn thoroughly. Then only we will be able to sustain. With that, thank you.
So we have to finish another 2 more questions. So and we are only in 3rd question.
I'll make it short. Will SOP Ayurveda? No. SOPs may reduce the spirit of Ayurveda scholars, because we are into the comfort zone to say Ayurveda is a personalized medicine, personalized treatment. All we are in the comfort zone. But SOPs are needed. Maybe the excellent Vaidyas or like scholars, they can look into it and create the SOPs. Ayurveda talks about prasannatmendriya manaha. We are not looking only at the physical betterment. The broad spectrum can be created, but that can be the SOPs. That has to be accepted by the large institutions, that can be taken forward. If you are missing that, IITians and other pharmacology people will sit into the place where they can take a decision and they will create a SOP. Maybe after 10 years, we all have to obey that. That might be the situation. So SOP is needed. It will not reduce the spirit of Ayurveda, not at all. What SOP? Is it the modernized SOP? No. It can be the traditional SOPs, but all the Shrestha Vaidyas has to get accepted without any arguments. Then the study can give us better clarity. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. So again, I'll keep it short. Whether it is going to affect the spirit of Ayurveda, if you have the right standardization protocols according to Ayurveda, and if you're able to develop according to Prakriti, Vikriti, Sara and Samhanana and all that, then no, it's not going to affect your standardized protocol. It's not going to affect the spirit of Ayurveda. Like how Verma sir very rightly pointed out, don't go into the comfort zone with what is available with you. Please make your own path. And the standardization might actually spoil the spirit of the person who is doing the research at times. Yes. So don't go into that spiral. So loss of individualized treatment can happen if there is a standardized protocol. Like how I was talking about the same kashaya being prepared in different ways, in different concentrations by different companies, by different Vaidyas. Your individualized treatments will definitely be affected. If you standardize one kashaya, it has to be this way. If you standardize each kashaya, each variety of the kashaya, and in the way it should be, then that is fine. For example, like how I said, if there are 5 different types of trifulas that you can use and all the 5 are standardized separately, then that is okay. You cannot compare the first one with the second one with the third one and all that. Like how during the introduction, Dr. Neetu said the reductionist approach is a problem here. If it is there in the research, like Dr. Sudhir very rightly pointed out, Reserpin is not Sarpagandha, right? That is a reductionist approach. If you say Reserpin is Sarpagandha, it is not only Reserpin, but all the other alkaloids and the flavonoids and all the other things which come together. When it is Samula, the drug acts very, very differently. So don't have a reductionistic approach even you're doing the research protocols. And most of the times by imposing very only modernized rigid protocols, sometimes we end up marginalizing the traditional wisdom also. That is the seasoned practitioners, how do they practice things, and how the same kashaya used by a seasoned practitioner who has been practicing with a Guru Shishya Parampara, that is how if he has learnt it, the same way he is practicing might not be the way a modern Ayurvedic doctor will be practicing. He might know 1,000 things more than what you know today, and if you can take all those things into consideration while you are bringing your protocols of research, then that will definitely help. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. So to conclude, yeah, standardization is necessary, and definitely it should be within the protocols of Ayurveda, not with the help of course we can use the modern tools, but it should include, it must be inclusive of Ayurvedic parameters also. That is universally accepted. That is true. Yes, because standardization, especially when it comes to therapies, if not for the drugs or the medicines, for therapies it should. Maybe in the concluding remark I will do that. Okay. So the fourth question is, how has the research influenced the practitioners, students and the public so far? How has the research in Ayurveda influenced the practitioners, students and the public so far?
So definitely I think a research done in a proper way based on Ayurvedic parameters can have an impact on stakeholders of Ayurveda, all stakeholders of Ayurveda. I tell you, two examples I would like to highlight here. Recently, 3 years back, I was a part of the research programs in Coimbatore, where they were trying for a project for diabetes mellitus. So naturally, they asked me some suggestions. I told you can select medicines, maybe easily available churnas or tablets, as per Bhava Prakasham or something like that. So I said, you must present at least 3 combinations. One for Vata Prameha, one for Pitta Prameha, one for Kapha Prameha. To see that it is producing some result. Result is ultimate thing, you know. So they made 9 preparations, 3 for Vata, 3 for Pitta, 3 for Kapha. And the meeting was arranged, 10-12 people were there, and the vice president of CCRAS was there, who is allocating the projects to different parts of India. And we had a very big discussion about what is Prameha, how medicine is working in that, why we selected these 3 combinations. And to my surprise, CCRA's vice president told, why do you go for 9 medicines? You stick to 1 medicine. So he is expecting something to replace the metformin. Will it work? This is the impact of the understanding of CCRAs, which is governing the entire research in Ayurveda. Okay, one more thing I would like to highlight. One of my students, when I was a teacher in Coimbatore, got selected into PG, Dravya Guna in Trivandrum. So he used to be a very good student in Ayurveda. So he asked me, can you suggest some theories? I said, okay, you can go for some any medicine you can select, and it's a non-clinical research. And I suggested 4-5. I said that will not be accepted. I know it, because the research also you are going ahead 80% with modern knowledge. There is no question of Ayurvedic knowledge there. So he went with 4-5 suggestions, which was rejected, and finally the HOD suggested another one, that is the effect of Shatapushpa in inflammation, Dravya Guna, and that too in OPD. So he came back and told me that this is what he suggested, so I have to take it, there is no other option. So I said, you make it Ayurvedic, same thing, okay, you carry on. Effect of Shatapushpa in Vata inflammation, Pitta inflammation, Kapha inflammation. Again he went back with the same thing. HOD said, no, that is all risky. OP, you can't diagnose Vata domain, Pitta domain, Kapha domain things. He said, you just give it for all inflammations. Then he came back to me, I told, if you are doing a research in this mode, it becomes Ayurvedic. Then you will gradually find out that Pitta dominant inflammation, it is troubling. That will be already told in the book. Shatapushpa is very Ushna in nature. Pitta dominant condition, you cannot use it. This is what you are going to prove, you know. See, generally you are giving all inflammation Shatapushpa lepa. Whoever is getting trouble, they will go to some allopathy, they will not come back. You don't know what is happening. So if you are making it Ayurveda, that knowledge will be there, deeply hidden in Ayurveda. We are not looking into that. That's what I say. If you are very serious, if you are very intelligent, you can look deeply into Ayurveda and create a protocol for this, which will be beneficial to all stakeholders of Ayurveda. Whether it's a student, whether it is a teacher, whether it is an academy, whether it's a research, anybody will be benefited with a this kind of program where there is a touch, basic touch of Ayurveda. Thank you.
Yeah, the influence of research in practice. I'll give you an example. Like actually, that is a better thing I think. A Vadashonita case comes to you. One doctor is giving Rasirandadi Kashayam, another doctor is giving Koglaksham, another doctor is giving okay, Balagluchadi, Vasagluchadi, etc. So among this 5 group, actually 2 people came back and told like actually, see, RF factor is coming down. Only the blood report is RF factor positive. And other 3 actually, see, there is no change. So as far as these 2 people actually, the RF factor has come down, okay, that pratyaksham, kundunditang, that is good. No problem, the patient is convinced, okay. But we have a problem like actually, see, RF factor is what in Ayurveda? That is the first question. What made you to give the same case RF factor in different cases? Okay, one person is giving Rasniranda, the another one is Koglaksham. What all medicines has been mentioned? Are they different? See, what is the meaning in giving that? What makes it? And another patient comes to you with uric acid. Again, the same thing is repeating. So first actually, we should understand what is the concept of Vadashonidam, and nobody is bothered about what is Vadadika Vadaraktam, Pittadika Vadaraktam, Kabadika Vadaraktam, and accordingly the medicine changes. So first we should fix like what kind of Vadaraktam it is and what should be, whether it is an RA or a uric acid or HLA-B27. Then you give the medicine and it is working out well and the values are coming down. That is a great thing. Because you can even convince any people in the world actually, like this is working. But the problem is, we people, we are getting confused actually, we are not doing it. Okay, what is Vadadika Vadaraktam? What is Pittadika Vadaraktam? What is Kabadika Vadaraktam? We are not interpreting. If a heart ailment comes actually, there are Panjavida Hridrogas. We are not analyzing. We will start again Stiramulam Gashayam. Okay, so that is a problem. So, and finding out, you are bringing a report where actually, so now the TMT is better, actually the echo is showing a marginal improvement. It is not the way actually. See, you should interpret what it is and what kind of Hridroga it is and what is the treatment mentioned in your book. You give that and test it. But that kind of approach is not there. So we have to develop to that level. Then if you work on it, it is, and again you may ask me, sir, what about seronegative arthritis? No answer. Okay, in that cases actually which cannot be proven or which cannot be seen. Okay, see again we have to, convince your patient like this is, okay, Anumanam is also plays a very crucial role in our science. So this is the way, like if it is provable, well and good. Otherwise actually we cannot say like this is a bluff, the science is unscientific. No. Okay, what is the selection? That is very important actually. Okay, thank you.
Will the research influence the practitioners? Maybe. For me, the real Ayurveda practitioners as the Mendas, they influence the next generation Ayurveda doctors. For me, I take myself as an example. I'm influenced by my father. When I come to college, Dr. Radhakrishnan, when I completing, I heard Dr. Madhusudanan practice, and I sit with Dr. Vijayapal a few times. That inspires. Today morning talk, Dr. Madhusudan ji, he told like he don't recommend much with proprietary medicines. I feel like I miss to sit in his consultations. So what inspires? The confidence in Ayurveda can inspire at the first level. When we treat, if you're treating in a doubtfulness, even BAMS complete, you start the practice. What gives you the confidence? The research or the practice? Sir rightly told, it has to come with by childhood. Otherwise, you learn from a senior who practice the pure Ayurveda. Then with that knowledge, you look into the research. Your patients are the well documents for you. When you treat what gives the results, you succeed. When it doesn't give the results, please open to dissect and understand where you are wrong. Not always the drug of choice goes wrong. Basic understanding of Ayurveda, when there itself it's wrong, results might not be there. The other part, research can give influence to the society or the non-believers of Ayurveda. The research can help them to influence. The people who already believe in Ayurveda, who complete their graduation in Ayurveda and the patients comes to get treated by them for their more than research, how you see them, how you feel them, how you treat them, that matters. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. So the question was how research has influenced practitioners, students, and public. Right? So I'll say how it is influenced. As we have already talked a lot about whether it is right or not, I'll leave it to your choice. For practitioners, yes, research has encouraged them to have an evidence-based practice. It also helps them to validate classical drugs. As I told you, left to you whether it is right or wrong. Okay. It also helps them to validate the therapies they do. It enhances practitioners' confidence, and it especially helps when you do a research to communicate to patients and the public. Yes, it does. For the students, it creates an awareness of, I feel it creates an awareness of interdisciplinary learning. When you start doing research at a student level, definitely you start learning new things, new techniques from other sciences. So yes, there is an interdisciplinary learning. And it also introduces students to combine our knowledge with modern pharmacology, biostatistics, molecular biology, and many of those stuffs. So what it has done to the students is it has opened new career options for them, like drug development, going into research as a research fellow. Previously, this was not there. Maybe about a decade or two ago, you can either practice or you can go into academia. This research has definitely opened up new career options for students. As far as the public goes, if they know, they are divided, like Dr. Verma sir very rightly pointed out. Some people don't need your research. They just need whether if you're a good doctor or not. But there is another side, there is another part of the patients who want validity, and their confidence is definitely boosted if you have a strong research background. And I think research will also is also slowly helping us to gain global acceptance. But is it going in the right direction? Are we doing it in the right way? That is a question that we'll have to ponder upon. Thank you.
So to conclude, it helps the students and the general public. It creates more awareness and job opportunities for students, and especially not only Ayurvedic students, but those who are in the schools also, these necessary so that people can look into Ayurveda. As far as the practitioners, it is their own belief and how they take care of the patients helps a lot than the research. This is what the panel has said. So coming to the last question, what should research in Ayurveda evolve into? So future, how it should evolve. Okay, what should research in Ayurveda evolve into?
Being the last question, let it be an effort to convey whatever is there in my mind to the Ayurvedic people, future torchbearers of Ayurveda especially. Recently, one Dr. Vanamali came to me and I had a discussion with him for 2 hours. He was basically a biochemistry doctor, PhD, working in the field of cancer in US for 18 years. And he came to me and asked me, what is your understanding of cancer? 18 years, there is no new result, He has been working biochemistry. He's working for drugs, no result so far. So I told we have a knowledge of, so far cancer is not clearly defined in the modern science. Certain areas they say it is a degenerative disease, some protein molecules, cancer molecules are there for everybody, lot of things are there, but clearly cancer is not defined. Okay, to that understanding, we are trying to find out a result, research and medicine. So I said this understanding is there in Ayurveda thousands of years back. How degeneration can happen in a body, in a disease process. All diseases are creating degenerations, but an acute degeneration for the whole body, how is it possible? I said our way of looking at the body, Kaba being the gross structure, which is getting degenerated even due to aging, which is natural, inevitable degeneration. But in disease process that is happening, it should be the description of the last disease like Vadarakta. Vada atmosphere is the weakness to the structure, to the core, then only you say Vada. Rakta is usually regenerating. When it is vitiated, it can degenerate. That is what you call it as Vadarakta. That is why it is told as the last among the physical diseases. Beyond that, it is only mental disease. So this Vadarakta, Vada atmosphere you can have through mind also. Chinda, Shogam, Bhayam. Through that you can create weakness to the core. Rakta is related to Pitta, you can have Kobat Pittam. Through mind you can vitiate Rakta Dhatu also. So if the degenerative atmosphere is created through the mind, physical medicines will not be working. This is our understanding, age-old understanding. So he was very impressed. Every month he wanted to have a session with our understanding how we are approaching these issues. Certain areas we can work, we can correct mind also, so that there is some result in certain types of cancers. It is working well. But this understanding of that disease is more important. If you have a clarity on what is a disease, what is a body, based on our Ayurveda, our theory is the most important thing. You know, now Israel-Iran war is going on, bombing is going on. Bomb is nothing but the extension of Einstein's theory of E = mc square. How theory is important. That's what I was telling. Theories in Ayurveda are the most important part, which can create an extension of knowledge to any level, including research. It can make a change in any level of knowledge system to deal with the sufferings of humanity.
How the research evolve in the future, current day. This is, as a teacher, what I'm saying is, first actually research, the outcome of the research should be what, this is my personal view, what I'm saying, at least in Ayurveda society or Ayurveda people, doctors who believe in their science. That is the prime important thing. At least due to all these researchers, if we are able to produce good doctors or Ayurvedic persons who 100% trust in their science, that is the best thing what we can do. Because what I'm saying is, I'm into teaching for the last, 26 years. First 10 years actually, how we molded the students actually, see, that was excellent actually. It's a confession, don't think like actually in such a public place sir is confessing. But the last 5 or 10 years, what happens is, it is very difficult actually to mold a student. And what I have seen is, see, the first half of 10 years actually, if an Ayurveda student without any Ayurveda background, he gets Jora, he will start with some Amra, Arishnam, Amrotram, Kashayam, all those things. The present day, he takes paracetamol. And this guy is going to cure the patient who comes for Ayurvedic treatment. Okay, what an irony. Okay, so what happens is actually the people who handle the science should have a trust in the science. So at least the research should be focused in that way. Like we want good doctors who have 100% trust in their science actually. That's number one. For example, I'll tell you, I have read actually, and there are so many proofs that it seems, Americans have conducted a research in, rose plant. They have taken, one area and maybe hundreds or 200s of rose plants. And what they do is actually daily, these scientists will come and tell like to the plants like, we don't want thorns, stop growing. And after 90 days or a particular period, what they found was actually 60% of the plants, the thorn growth was arrested. It is a long, 90 days is a long process. And 10% no change, and other 20% actually, it has reduced, but it is growing. So what a commitment they are doing it. What we do is, we plant it, 2 days we will tell, third day we pluck that rose, and we will cook up actually, okay, plants are obeying. So this is a level of our commitment of research actually, what I have seen. The committed work is very, 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 very uncommon. Okay, and next is actually, what I'm saying is, one more example I'll tell you. They took some, priest from Rajasthan to America, and their job is nothing but a stipulated time actually they have to sit and chant Gayatri mantras. Daily, some 3 hours or 4 hours, they have to chant only Gayatri mantras. And the chanting will be closely monitored and taken photographs. And that photograph is Krillian photograph. And what they found is actually after a period, actually 2 weeks or 3 weeks, they found that the aura was increasing. Because there is a proper tool there actually, Krillian photograph actually. It is not visible in a normal photography. So they took the pain and they found like in which photograph actually see that is able to understand. They brought that instrument or device and they found it like actually Gayatri Mantram is such a beautiful mantra, like actually it increases the aura of human beings who chants it. So this is an example I'm telling you, like actually the research should be, the focus is like that and the committed work actually. If you have a trust in your science only, you can have a committed work actually. Otherwise, I don't think you will not be able to get, because my knowledge is very less for this. So I thank and I hope actually these kind of topics will be taken again and again, because the students or the doctors who sit here should have some feed by the end of the day. They should have some idea. So I thank KPL for taking these kind of topics, and I thank KPL team, Anil Kumar sir, for selecting me or giving an opportunity to express my views here. Thank you.
How Ayurveda research should evolve. Without deviating the basic principles of Ayurveda, the research has to be taken forward. As a fundamental treatment of Ayurveda is aiming Prasannatmendriya Manaha. We are treating the body, mind and soul, not just the shell. Shall have an expiry. Even we talk about Shadayu, 36,500 days. Are we going to treat that water bubble? Or we are treating little deeper? So that fundamentals, basic fundamentals has to take and valid, and the research should evolve. And modern science evolved much better, far better. Age, lifespan got increased, but where? At the ICU and coma. Are we going towards that research? A single drug, a magic remedy which cures? No, not at all. Ayurveda cure comes from Bishak Dravya Upastada Rogi Patachadushtayam. Ayurveda treatment is not a drug therapy. Ayurveda is the holistic healing. Without deviating, research has to evolve. And when the research evolves, I feel like the confidence will come to the next generation Ayurveda doctors. Most of the Ayurveda doctors, we do our practice, we stabilize, we do, in all aspects we progress. But our next generation, where we are sending, if we get an opportunity to send them to a MBBS or BAMS, what choice we are choosing? It's a very personalized question, ask yourself. This research has to evolve, and it should create a confidence inside us. Even my son or daughter getting an MBBS, I will not. I will send them to Ayurveda because it's a complete science. It's not only treating the patient, it is helping us to live a healthy life. It gives us what reality of life. This confidence we are getting through the research or the experience, there Ayurveda really, really evolving. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. So, what should the research in Ayurveda evolve into? Not all of us have the same kind of exposures, not all of us have the same kind of knowledge. Each person's knowledge, what they've studied, what knowledge we have acquired over the period of time changes. So, do not worry, you can start from what you know. Research can happen from interdisciplinary researchers, can also happen from any place. For example, we talked a lot about biochemistry. If you know a little bit of biochemistry, then good. One doctor, another Ayurveda doctor in WhatsApp very recently was talking to me about capsaicin. When you say capsaicin, it is found in chili, and that is the reason why you feel chili is hot. We also say chili is Ushna in Virya. This capsaicin actually goes and activates a neuron called TRPV1. Okay. This same neuron is activated whenever the temperature around you is also high. That is, if it is summer and you are not using an air conditioner, this thing is, neuron is activated. That is why you feel chili is hot when you, not only the pungent taste, you also feel the virya of it. So if you know this other shastras, and if you want to do some research from that area into Ayurveda, but still if you are able to interpret it in Ayurvedic ways, then that is very well and good, and that is the way we'll have to be progressing. Not just RCTs. This way will be a very good thing. For example, how I was taught to treat was, for example, you take a seminogram. In Ayurveda, you say you're going to say spatikabam, dravam, snigdam, maduram, madhugandicha, right? The same thing when you take a seminogram, if you are able to look at, the patient is going to come with a seminogram to you. And if you are able to interpret it, whether it is having a grey color, spatikabam, good, tick your box. If you are able to do a research that way, if the liquefaction time is more, then you say the pitta is more, the sara and drava guna is increased. If it is very high, the liquefaction time is very high, viscosity is very high, you say that the kapha dosha is increased in shukra dhatu. So if you are able to interpret it in this way, and then if you understand the dosha, obviously the next level of understanding is the which guna of the dosha is affected. So the medicine will be for the guna of the dosha which is affected, that is the opposite guna of the dosha medicine will have. And for having an efficient drug delivery system or for efficient drug delivery, you will be using the Aushadakala of that place. This is how I was taught to treat any problem. Medicine for the dosha and guna, Aushadakala for the sthana of the problem. If researches can happen in these kind of places rather than just reiterating what we have, a classical drug, the same classical drug being proven again and again and again, the monotonous research, if you can break that cycle, that will be very nice. And like how whole panel was talking about, create our own jargon with Ayurvedic biology, physics and chemistry, and then if you standardize your research with these Ayurvedic variables, then yes, research in Ayurveda would have evolved into what we all want.
Then the Ayurvedic research will travel in a proper way. Okay. So with that, I am concluding the session with the panelist. The floor is open for question answers and discussions. Thank you.
In the interest of time, we have reduced the Q&A session to 2 minutes. So the participants can raise your queries right now.
Maybe 5 minutes we can give, rather 2 minutes. Yeah.
Good afternoon. Myself, Dr. Sukruta. So, being Ayurvedic doctor and a clinical medical writer, I prepare these protocols, clinical reports, and I have done many clinical trials for this Ayurvedic base. My question is about the gap between classical Ayurvedic education and the practical scope of research. See, we study Rasa Shastra in depth, and Rasaushadhis are part of classical and even contemporary clinical practice. Yet, these formulations are often excluded from clinical trials due to safety or some ethical considerations. So, from a research and publication perspective, this limits my, what I see the scientific validation for these core component of Ayurveda. So, what steps are to be taken, or what do you suggest or to be taken for the regulatory and ethical framework to enable safe and standardization research for Rasaushadhis?
New area. You are talking about Rasa preparation. Yes, yes. I would tell you, I would like to mention that in the oldest text of Brihadrayis, there is no Rasa Aushadhas. It was late tradition when alchemy was added, 8th, 9th, 10th century and all, where the medicine-based treatment protocol was gradually coming into this Ayurveda. Earlier it was not medicine-based, as I told earlier, medicine, food, activities, Aushadha, Ahara, Viharas. Together how you rejuvenate, you strengthen the system so that the symptoms disappear. It was the understanding. Later the medicine, potentiated medicines were induced, but that also was based on Vata Pitta Kapha understanding. Unfortunately, of late, that Vata Pitta Kapha understanding has disappeared. So we think medicine is just acting. Like Anda Bhairava Rasam for Jwara. You know what kind of Jwara? Only Vata Kapha Jwara. Because it has got the chayilya, mercury sulfide. Like Vetumarn, what we say. Chayilya is there, Pitta Jwara, you cannot give it. Typhoid, you cannot give it. So you need to understand rasa preparation also from the angle of doshas, then only you can effectively use it. Unfortunately, the Rasashastra and all I think is widely PG's practice as non-clinical thing. Only manufacturing of drugs are taken as a research, not as a clinical thing. Reason is that medicine is not understood theoretically. Chemically it is understood. Another thing is that Rasa Bhasma is prepared in olden times with 6 months time. How much time you need nowadays to prepare Rasa Bhasma? Traditional way, even in Siddha, you need 6 months time. Okay, you need to be pure, you need to be spiritual to deal with Rasa, to create Rasa Bhasma. That part has totally gone. You just collect mercury from a shop and make it. Mercury, I am telling. Is there a chemistry which deals with 108 chemicals to explain what is this Rasa Bhasma? Is it just mercuric oxide? As per chemistry, it is mercuric oxide. It can damage kidney. But mercury, Rasa Bhasma is not damaging kidney if it is properly used. Even traditional pharmacy, Kottakkal, Coimbatore, I think few years back they had Rasa preparations. When I was a student, Kottakkal had 20 preparations. But when you give Rasa preparation, you are supposed to take only milk and rice. Nowadays you get palsy neuron and all. How many people are talking about that? It is very Ushna. It can break the dosha dhatu combination. So you should be very careful with the food. It shouldn't create vidaham in the body. So milk and rice is the only food allowed when you are taking Rasa Bhasma. Nowadays nobody is doing that. So people think like allopathy where medicine is working, Ayurveda also medicine is working. So you try to replace allopathic medicine with Ayurveda, which may be working, may not be working. You can't blame the system. That's why I say the medicine is working theoretically. If theory you are confident, you will use it effectively. Otherwise, bluntly you will be using. You may get result, you may not get. Both conditions you cannot explain to another person also. That is the result.
I'm not a Rasa man, even though from my knowledge what I'm saying is Rasashastra is a very fantastic science, but the problem is commercialization actually. See how many days it will take for a process of 101 pudam, and that macro becomes micro, and I think if it is properly processed actually it will not get held up in kidneys or filtering actually. But if you do that pudam in 1 day or 2 days actually definitely it is going to create so much of problem. Because I know a company who prepares Dhanvantaran Dailam within 1 day. If you put the order, next day you will get 20 liters of Dhanvantaran Dailam. Whether we can call it as Dhanvantaran Dailam, that is a question actually. Okay, because since all Ayurveda people are sitting here, I'll loudly tell that. So I'm not using much Rasa preparations, but South Kerala based companies and little bit of Dudh Pabeshwar actually. I'm not marketing anything and I'm not talking about any companies also. But if it is good one, actually I don't think it is going to create a problem. And as sir rightly told, Rasa is having a lot of patya and apatyas. That has to be followed. And you just imagine actually see in Pramehatla what happens is last, okay, Madhumehattum, okay, Madhumehila, Shilajadu tula madhyat pramehartha punarnava. That is the word Acharya has mentioned. 1 tulam of actually, kanmada has to be given, Shilajadu. So if that Shilajadu is not processed properly, just imagine actually how that person will be. 1 tulam is almost, you can imagine, 100 palas. Okay, so that is mentioned as a rasayana in Prameham actually. So that emphasizes the process of Shilajadu, Shuddhi, has to be done properly. Otherwise, actually, that man itself will not be there. Then what about his Prameham? So that is the thing, and it has to be, used very cautiously. I don't have that knowledge, so I'm not using. Thank you.
We are the Rasavaidyas from southern part of Tamil Nadu and Kerala border. We use rasas, but how Sir said in the same way, only milk and rice, white rice is the food. If they are not following it, the treatment will be stopped in the middle. Secondly, yes, not those days, even now Kottakkal is preparing Rasagandhi Melugu and they are using it. They are coming with Brihatvada Chindamani. Same Kottakkal is coming. In our practice, my dad's advice is like, if the patient is following your instruction, then you treat, it do wonders. It's doing wonders, no doubt. Most of the asadhya rogas, we use rasa aushadhis. It is giving results. But your patient should take you somewhere near to the God, what you are conveying, they have to follow strictly, then it gives results. Like palsineuron, it can be replaced like a modern medicine. No, it kills a patient on a long-standing, yes. We see the chronic patients, they use rasa aushadhis from other companies without a diet control and everything. The metal levels on the blood, it goes and it creates adverse effects. More research needed. If like-minded people there, we are open. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. So I think your question was how to incorporate these rasa aushadhis in clinical trials, right? So how do you first make sure that it can be safe and it can be taken to the, how do you convince people to make sure that they accept for your clinical trial if you use it? Okay. One of the ways that you can do is, for example, if KAPL is having a Rasaraja Ras, and if you want to incorporate Rasaraja Ras in facial palsy, and if you want to, if that is your study at various levels, whatever you want to do it, what you can first do it, collect some evidence about Rasaraja Ras, which doctors are using KAPL's Rasaraja Ras, and how they are using it, with what Anupana, and with what Patya, like how doctor said here. Each doctor might have different ways of doing it. Then you collect that evidence, like how you are giving pamphlets for selling the medicines, you can give them a standardized case sheets, okay, so that which the doctor has to fill and they have to do it properly. I don't know, the controls have to be right. If the controls are not right, the case sheets are not going to be 100% true. As all of us are doctors here, we have to talk the 100% truth. So if that kind of data, truthful data is obtained first, that I think will be a great base for you to start a clinical trial by even though anecdotal, you can show that, see, we have 100 patients here, where 27 doctors, 30 doctors have used this on 100 patients. And various doctors from various places in India have used this. It has been very safe. And in your protocol, you will have to obviously include, because the modern days this thing warrants that, you will have to include RFTs and LFTs and all that in your case sheet and this thing. That, for that, companies, if they come with a CSR funding, the doctors, I think, will be able to very, very happily help you out to gain that evidence. Once that is gained, then I think clinical trial should be an easier process. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. If you have any more queries, you can write to us or message in our group. Chennai.